Hey guys, and welcome back to another video with Brooklyn. How are you all doing today? Today is Sunday, the 23rd, 2022. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the video. I want to talk about Regina King. Okay, it's a sad situation. Her only child died by suicide on his birthday this past Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. It's just a sad situation. And, you know, she was trending when it hit the news over in the night, okay? And it says that they were really close. They went to all of the red carpets and the award ceremonies together. He was a DJ. He had just put out a album on Instagram, a song on Instagram called Green Eyes. And, he had an appointment, not an appointment, but he had a gig lined up for this coming week. I believe it was the 28th of January to do a DJ session. And, his life seemed to be going good. And then out of the clear, blue, from what I'm assuming, nobody suspected that he had an issue going on, that it was so bad that he took his own life, okay? I watched her do an interview talking to Andy Cohen, and she was celebrating New Year's Eve with her son and a whole host of people, and they seem to be in a good space. But that just goes to show you that you never know what's going on in someone's head and someone's heart. They could be so close to you, such as her child, and you just don't know what they're thinking. People don't always disclose to you what's going on in their lives, and that's a sad thing, that you have a child or a spouse or someone, close friends, that just feel like they can't talk to anyone. It has not said why, if he left a suicide note, or if he was going through depression, or if anything was going on in his life, personal, that caused him to have this feeling. But according to her, he just was a happy kid, young man. And here's a picture of her and her son at an award ceremony. Very nice family, mother and son, So I'm going to read a snippet of what's going on. Okay, so it says Regina King's only child, son, Ian Alexander Jr., has tragically passed away. Law enforcement officials told TMZ that Alexander Jr. took his own life on Wednesday, his 26th birthday. King, his mother, confirmed the news in a statement to People on Friday. Our family is devastated at the deepest level by the loss of Ian. I-A-N. He is such a bright light who cared so deeply about the happiness of others. Our family asks for respectful consideration during this private time. Thank you. It says that Alexander Jr. was the only child of King and her ex-husband, record producer Ian Alexander Sr. Back in January, Alexander Jr. took to Instagram to share a tribute to his mother on her 50th birthday. Okay? Happy birthday to my so extremely proud of you and inspired by your love. And gangster, he wrote, to be able to watch you take this lifetime by its neck and make it yours is something I will forever be grateful for. Here's another photo of the mother and son. It's just so sad. It's just so tragic. It's horrible. I can't imagine her pain and what she's going through. There's no way that I could imagine it. How she must feel. It hurts me for her. And it says here, Alexander Jr. continued, but to have you as my mother is the greatest gift I could ask for. To be all that you are while always having the time to be there. Love and support me unconditionally is truly remarkable. The whole Marvel universe ain't got S on you. You're the real superhero. Love you, Mom, this day and every day. Your day. Okay? And it was just saying how they're just close. That they were just a team at everything. And I would hate to think that she just didn't know that he was suffering on the inside. Sometimes, and this is just my take on certain situations. Sometimes you can be so close to people and not really know. They don't want to tell you what's going on in their lives, afraid that they may bring you down and cause you some hurt and some harm. And he loved his mother so much. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Alexander. He just probably did not want to cause his mother any pain, because they're not saying that, maybe later on it'll come out that he suffered from depression or anxiety or anything like that. It's not saying anything. Like I said before earlier in the video, he did not leave a suicide note. According to this article, they have not mentioned it. They just found him dead. And it's just tragic, that people have so much going on in their lives. You would think that, why would he want to take his life? I remember her being a child star on the hit sitcom 227, with Mary Holloway, and she was Brenda, and she was in love with Calvin, and for her to grow up and be as successful as she is, because a lot of child stars don't make it to be as successful as Regina King, and for her to grow up and be so successful and then have something so tragic happen in her life, you would think that with all the world at the tip of his fingers, he could have anything he wanted in the world. His mother is a superstar. Everybody knows her. She's a mega star. She's mega, and then his father, he's famous, but Regina, his mom, is like, bam, and for him to feel that it was no help to be sought, that I have to leave this world on my birthday. That's a birthday present. It's like, I don't know what he was thinking, but it's almost like he was thinking this was a birthday present to himself, to free himself, because he did it on his birthday. So that was a significant piece of himself that he wanted people to remember. I did this on my birthday. So he deliberately did it on his birthday. It's a meaning behind it. Something was behind him doing it on his birthday, is my take on it. Do I know that for sure? No. But for him to take his life on the day that he came into the world, he came into the world on January 19th, and then he leaves the world January 19th, that was significant. He meant to leave that stamp on his family, the world. He was saying something, and I would hate to know, that she didn't know that he was suffering. Maybe that he was suffering in silence, because I'm sure she would have gotten him all the help that he could possibly ever want and could possibly ever need. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sad when people think they don't have no one to talk to. Now, did he talk to his mom? Did she know if he had problems or not? Maybe, because the article don't have everything in it, and she is asking for, consideration and has some privacy right now. She's not wanting to talk about it. So maybe later on, as the grieving process, proceeds, she will maybe go into a little bit more depth, and then she may not, because I never really heard much about her. I didn't even know she had a son. Because she's not really out there like that, unless you hear her making a movie or something, And it just devastated when I heard about, when it came across my news feed, guys. It just hit me a certain way. I don't know. I know people, commit suicide every day, and she's not the first superstar whose child has taken their life, but it just hit me a certain way. I guess because, she was a child star, and, I'm 5 years older than her, but I still, watched her and just watched her grow into a beautiful, beautiful young woman, just so successful, and just successful. She is amazing. And then for this tragedy to hit her, it's just mind-boggling, which goes again to tell me that you don't know what's going on in someone else's thoughts. You don't know from day to day. You just don't know. And they could be as close as your child to you, and you just don't know what's going on. And it's sad. And it's just sad. And when I watched her on the Andy Cohen, they were doing like a Skyping thing, Andy Cohen and her, and they were talking back and forth. You know, she was enjoying herself, you know, her family, and he was sitting there. And, you know, they just seemed to be so happy, you know, that you just looking at that interview, you would not have known, you know, from the outside looking in, that anything was wrong with her son, that he was fighting some kind of demon that made him feel that he just couldn't live anymore, you know? And it's just weird because he had a gig coming up this week, the 28th of January. He's a DJ, like I said. He had a gig, so it's like he was still living his life, you know. He just put like I said, a single out. So it's like he had plans to just pursue his life, and then it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense that something overwhelmed him that bad that he could not live anymore, you know. And I also noticed on Andy Cohen's show that, well, you know, the Skyping session, the interview, that he had a friend there, and she called the friend her son too, and she said, well, he's my son because my son, my natural son, brought him into, he's in my son's life, and my son brought him into my life. So I'm gonna, you know, assume that that was his, you know, his partner or whatever like that. And I'm not saying that's why he killed himself, but I just don't understand. It's not for me to understand. I know that. But, you know, you just can't look at somebody's life and assume that they're just so happy and that they, you know, money does not bring you happiness and joy. It just doesn't. When something's missing on the inside, it doesn't care what your bank account looks like. It just doesn't matter what your bank account looks like. It just doesn't. If something's missing in here, you can have all the money in the world. He had all the money. His mother loved him unconditionally. You know, she made a statement in one of the articles I read that you don't know true love until you have a child. You don't know unconditional love until you have a child. You know? So she loved him unconditionally. No matter what he was going through, she was there for him. He said it when he left her a tribute for her birthday. You know, he loved his mom. They were always together. So to devastate, because when you commit suicide, it's a selfish act. You're hurting, of course, but then you leave behind wounded people. So it was a selfish act, because especially if they don't know why you did it, they wasn't expecting it, they couldn't get you any help, and it's an act of, you know, on your birthday, and then you left your mom like that, and y'all were so close. And I would just hope that, you know, she wasn't blindsided. Like, when I say blindsided, I mean to the extent that she didn't know that he was suffering inside secretly, because that's going to play a hard part in her recovery process, because it's going to be like, if I had known, I could have helped my child. If I had known, you know. So I'm hoping that she did have some inkling, and that she was there for him and was getting him the help, and he just ultimately decided that I just can't do this anymore, you know. And I just sent out my condolences, and I hate that this young man felt the need to do that. It's just awful, you know. Anytime you feel like you have to take your life, you're in a place of despair, you know. And I'm sure we have all been there at some point where you just didn't want to live, but by the grace of God, you just did not, you know, he held your hand and you didn't do it, you know. But some people just, it just doesn't work that way, and it's just awful, you know. And I just hate that for her. I hate it for him. I hate it for the whole family. It's just a sad situation, you know. So it's just awful, and I just wish her the best, and I wish her, you know, I want her to take her time recovering, because this is just a jolt, you know. I want her to take her time recovering, but I also wish her a speedy recovery to go on with her life. And I hope it don't affect her to that she can't go no further in life, because they were extremely close, which most mothers are really close with their children. But there's a bond between a mother and a son that's just, most mothers and sons are so tight that it's just, I'm going to say ridiculous at some point, because sometimes it can cause problems, you know. But they were extremely close. They were extremely close, you know, and I feel so sad for her, you know. So I'm sending out my condolences to Regina King and her family, you know, and I hope that, you know, she finds peace, and I hope that she is able to, you know, I'm not going to say bounce back, but just continue to live her life. And I hope it don't push her to a breaking point, because that can really break you. You know, he's not my child, and I hurt for her. So I can't even imagine, you know, what she's going through. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to just, you know, continue to keep her in my prayers. So with that being said, I'm going to say vielen Dank. That's thank you very much in German. So vielen Dank for watching me, and choose. That's what? That's bye in German.